my god. I said it before years ago, but I didn't really process it, even when I was thinking it years ago, until I've heard several other people say it recently. Avatar really was a horrible movie. And I don't mean just horrible with what happened to the people inside the movie. I mean, by movie standards, it was a sucky movie. Now, I will be able to tell who didn't watch this video to the end, being that these are just the first few seconds and I've said something controversial and probably hurt feeling-ish. But allow me to explain. Welcome to Altiori, where the insanity thrives. I want to start off by saying that I enjoyed Avatar, and I recently watched it again. I have videos on the channel, and I've done many videos on the channel. I really absolutely love this movie, but let me first explain why is it I love the movie. The reason why I love this movie is because it was a wonderful experience. It was a new world with beautiful graphics. I got to experience what it would be like to be on Pandora in this other person's body, and just seeing a world that's so different than our own made me believe that it was worth fighting for. The visuals were beautiful, breathtaking, and of course, James Cameron made it. The concept also was built upon based on a story that has always been around for as long as I can remember. It's just done in a different way. Looking back at it now, you can totally see the political message shining through it, but I feel like it was done in a way that was palatable. The alien creatures were so intriguing, and I just wanted to know more about this world. I mean, looking back at it, there's so many creatures that I missed having ever been in existence in this movie. Seeing all the similarities between creatures that we have on our planet, and also trying to understand exactly how they work and what else is there that we don't know if these are the few creatures that we have seen. I will always take the opportunity. I will always grab at Arnold Schwarzenegger's hand when he says, "Come with me if you want to live." I know it's a horrible accent, but just interject that with, "Come with me if you want to go to Pandora." I can't see his freaking... Gotta practice on that. But yeah, it was a beautiful adventure. Now, with all those songs and praises, why the hell would I even title something like this? Yeah, sure, Critical Drinker and one other person said that was a horrible movie, it was bad, and I'm just piggybacking off of them. Yeah, kinda, I am. But I'm coming here not in defense of the movie, I'm coming here to reassure you, or to confirm that, yeah, it was a bad movie. Because the only thing that it had working for it, truth be told, was a revolutionary technology and the visuals. As for an actual movie, standing alone with all those things stripped aside, it was horrible.
The fuck you say to me, you little shit?
But the people as of late talking about it were not the only ones who thought about this. As a matter of fact, people have been saying it. Like this article from October 17, 2019 by Angus Hoovoras. Jesus. Hoovoras. Okay, I'm not even gonna try. But in his article, he said, can we all just admit Avatar was kind of terrible? Let's see what he has to say. So, from what he said, Avatar, the highest grossing movie of all time for a decade, nominated for Best Picture and Best Director. Yuck, yuck, I'm sorry. It was a cinematic experience, adored by critics and audiences, showered in praise for its mind-blowing, bar-raising special effects that once again raised the bar for what is possible on the big screen. The world of Avatar is starting to enter the pop culture collective consciousness again, thanks to a new theme park attraction, and the sequels finally coming to fruition. It seems like James Cameron is done with the world of Pandora. So he's right, and then he goes into saying, but does anyone really want a return trip? And in the video that I did talking about the sequels, a lot of people were also saying in the comments that they actually did not wish for a sequel, that they were done, that they took too long to come up with a sequel. Usually, if a story is really intriguing or engaging, the enchantment that the people would have experienced will make them come back. It doesn't matter how long ago the movie or the first movie came out. Just look at how excited everyone was for Jurassic World. So let's talk about it, because I match up a lot of the things that I would say if I was just judging it, putting all my fantasy fandom aside, judging it as an actual movie, if it didn't have the pretty CGI, how it would have been. And why I believe this movie at its core was actually a bad movie. Well, for one, I think it was very shallow in terms of the characters. The characters and the story was very one-dimensional. Not to mention, they recycled iconic noises from an actual iconic movie, Jurassic Park. Nobody looks back at this movie or hearing that sound later on and says, hey, it's the Thanator from that Blue People movie. And by the way, that's how people describe it. They don't just say Avatar and everyone knows what they're talking about. You say Jurassic Park, people who haven't even watched the movie know exactly what it is and how the dinosaurs sound. No, they say this noise is the T-Rex from Jurassic Park. You can ask 5-year-old kids that and they'll tell you the answer. They not only, poor James Cameron, they not only utilize that from Jurassic Park, but they also utilize the Velociraptor noise as well. You can see what I'm talking about in the previous videos I've done to this one on Avatar. That's how you know a movie's iconic, when they make their own noise for their own characters. So that part was a little bit disappointing, but that wasn't even the greatest crime against this movie. They had fantastic actors in this movie with subpar dialogue. I'm just so surprised.
I take care of my own. You get me what I need, I'll see to it you get your legs back when you rotate home. Your real legs.
The only person that took their dialogue and made it work was the bad guy. Who was this, Ribisi? I think even though there were a lot of great actors, I love Stephen Lang. He's amazing. I loved him in Terra Nova. Yes, you guys, I've watched Terra Nova. All of you say, you should watch it, you should watch it. I have watched it. And I feel like for me, he did a way better job in that show than he did in this movie. It's not that he's a bad actor. It's just that those weren't the right lines for him. Or maybe he just doesn't do well as a villain. Or maybe he does, I guess, well for a one-dimensional villain. But anyways, we'll talk about that in a little bit. So yeah, Giovanni Ribisi and Sigourney Weaver were the only ones that made their dialogue believable. Everybody sounded like they were just role-playing a one-dimensional character. Oh yeah, by the way, Zoe Saldana, she also did a very good job. I could feel her pain when she was voice acting Neytiri. And even Giovanni Ribisi's character, you could tell that he was having some struggles. Like, he didn't want to actually do this. He was putting on a brave face, but at his core, after he committed those atrocities, he felt bad. But nothing was ever added on the characters. There was no character development whatsoever. And the little bit they did for Jake was just very superficial. Like, he himself is our avatar. A creature with no feelings, no emotion. Even when he saw his dead brother, he's just like, ah, Tommy, what you do now? Really, bro? That is your twin brother. I mean, seriously. I mean, I have many twin relatives going through my family. I don't know what it is with our family and twins, but from what I've seen, if something happens to one of the twins, the other twins are basically lost. It's like they don't know who they are. I know this guy has seen soldiers fall beside him before, but this is your brother. I know he was probably estranged from his brother, but it is your brother. Nothing? Nada? And then even if you feel that way, nothing is added as to why he feels that way. You know what, anime? I love my anime. Watching Hero Academia right now. I know this seems off topic, but I'm using it as an example. Anime in general seems to do a much better job building up the characters. Even in some of the movies I've seen, I feel more for the characters in anime than I do in some of these movies. And I think that James Cameron was so preoccupied by making this visually stunning adventure that there was no room to build the story or the characters. I feel nothing for Jake Sully. I only remember his name because everybody else keeps saying it. Other than that, I would have forgotten his name. I forgot Neytiri's name at one point. And, yeah, I don't know anybody else's name. But you know the names I do remember, though, are those freaking creatures that I love so much, the Ikran, and the Thanator, the Leonopteryx, the Viper Wolf, and all those others. It's because that's the one thing I took away from this. I didn't give a shit about the characters. I like the animals, though. The designs for these creatures were amazing. Motivations are non-existent. The only motivation that we see is Jake having banged some native and now wanting to protect what he has. Every character there almost feels like an NPC. Even the villain just feels so one-dimensional, like he's not really serious. Like, it's just so forgettable. It's kind of like a cartoon. I enjoyed the action, but the characters are very forgettable. Okay, fair enough. It was such a beautiful movie. Well, what else could possibly make it a bad movie? Well, some things just made no sense. Granted, there are a lot of movies that don't make sense, but sometimes when people inject certain things into a story just to move it along conveniently, it really does come off cheese. And I found myself asking this question the first time I saw it in theaters, and then I was like, okay, whatever. I think I missed something. And honestly, because I was so caught up with the visuals and the world and the experience, I was able to look past those things quite easily. Like, how are they able to have the ability to transfer consciousness into another body? Especially the consciousness of a completely different species. I don't know about you guys, but if I had the ability to transfer my consciousness into something, or just transfer my consciousness altogether, you're damn well I'd transfer my consciousness into one of the Ikran or the Banshee. Some of the instances that also happened in this movie were a bit too fast and nonsensical, such as how is it that the Amatakaya just accepted Jake even though they knew he was a soldier of the enemy, had shot up a whole bunch of their children very recently. Basically, it just made them look stupid and religious. The way the dialogue happens and the execution of it is either too fast-paced or just doesn't make any sense at all. And I found myself also asking this earlier on when I had seen the movie.
I was a Marine. A warrior of the Jarhead clan.
So he spins some bullshit story about how he was a warrior of the Jarhead clan. They talk a little bit, the other guy's like, okay, it's bullshit. And the other leader of the clan, who's supposed to protect these people from the humans, who obviously are their enemies, does this. So let's look over the interaction here as to what happens. Fair enough. The chief guy says we need to learn more about him. I don't know what there is to learn, but it's clear that they're interested in other species as well because they've not yet met an actual warrior this close up that wasn't shoving a gun down their throat holes. Look at Sue. Look at him. He's like, are you freaking serious, my dude? Now this is where things get on the ridiculous side. And the chief doesn't stop this, which makes me believe that he's all for it. I understand wanting to learn about the enemy, but you trust him so easily. And you teach him everything that's sacred about you, even though you know he's a sky demon. Just seems very weird. He doesn't do anything to gain their trust at all. So basically, this just made them look very stupid and religious. The other thing that made no sense is that Terry introduces Jake to be one of them in terms of being chosen by Awa or something. But then gets an attitude when she has to teach him. How is it not fair, my lady? You know that Awa chose him, and you brought him into your tribe, and now you don't want to take responsibility. Entitled much? Other than the beautiful visuals and music and atmosphere, there really was no substance to the story itself, and honestly, I think this is what helped make the movie forgettable. If this movie had grade D actors, and the visuals weren't as beautiful as they are, it would be a low-budget mess of a movie. The same ones that I review on Movie Monday. But this movie is like some people. Without even doing your research about the person as to whether or not they have the credentials to be speaking about something, the flashy way they look, the appearance of being grandiose, misleads you into thinking that they're actually a better quality than what they are. As someone so eloquently put it, this movie was literally just a glorified tech demo. It was not so much a look at this beautiful movie that we made, it's look at us, the technology that we have to make movies look like this. That's why I loved Avatar, because this was just one big giant theme ride, a theme experience that I'll never forget. I don't regret watching it, and I love this movie. I love the way it made me feel. But the fact that I only remembered the name of the moon and some of the animals and not the characters themselves really speaks as to what this movie really has going for it. James Cameron is really talented, and I love him as a director. But hopefully the sequels will carry a little bit something more that now the modern audience will actually appreciate. Because you've already wowed us with the visuals. You've already let us know that you can make a movie look pretty. Now, can you make a movie substantial? Can you make a movie unforgettable? The last thing you want to do is make a sequel that looks as beautiful as the first one, that has no real essence to a story that was ripped off from Dances with Wolves and Pocahontas, and not add something more. There's no reason for me to want to buy toys of these characters. There's no real reason for me to want to root for these guys being in love with each other. Hell, How to Train Your Dragon did it better with its character building. With Toothless and the Light Fury, I really rooted for them, and you could see their characters shine out so strong. And the dragons don't even speak! Even Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron did a much better job with their characters, with Rain and Spirit. I still remember their names. These horses had so much character, and they don't even speak! It makes me cry every time. Seriously, it's like one of my favorite animated movies of all time. Freaking music, man. It's so stupid. Why the fuck am I crying? As beautiful as Avatar is, I don't really ever remember crying in a scene. I think the only time I came close to crying was when Terry was crying over her dad, because I imagined losing my daddy. And Zoe Saldana really did a good job in portraying that emotion through her voice acting with that character. Other than that, my emotions stopped at being awed and inspired and just taken taken back at the visual beauty that this wonderful advancement in CGI technology had presented to me and let me experience so many years ago. I think they should start a whole other genre for movies like this. Tech demo movies. I think there's something to be said. Seriously. I was with my partner, he was looking at a tech demo for a game engine. Was it Unity? I can't remember which it was. No, that's right. It was the Unreal Engine. And it was a beautiful experience. They're showcasing what they're doing differently with their engine, and it actually looks really, really beautiful. Near the end, it had me wondering what the hell was gonna happen next. I want to see the rest of it. Which game is this? I want to play it. And my partner is like, it's a tech demo. I'm like, oh my God, are you freaking serious right now? Look at this, how awesome it is, dude. I was so freaking annoyed. I know I'm saying freaking a lot. It's just, you know, I'm trying not to overdo it with how annoyed I am. I don't even care about the character, but I care about the experience. And I feel like there is a niche for this, but because there's not an official niche per se that's being filled, or they haven't actually put a genre out for these types of movies, I feel like that's why Avatar has it working against it, because it hasn't found that title. But that is exactly what it is. And as a tech demo movie, beautifully done. I guess you can say in many ways that the first Jurassic Park movie was also a tech demo movie, but I think it had a better story because nothing like that has actually been done before. Not to my knowledge, about dinosaurs being genetically engineered and being cloned back to life, and they're in a park and they escape and try to kill people. I've not seen anything like that. Do you know of any movies that were like that before? The only thing that came before Jurassic Park was the book by Michael Crichton that it was based on. It was original. And I know it's hard as time goes by and more people come up with more original stuff, that it's harder and harder to come up with an original story. You may even come up with a story that's 100% yours without you even having the knowledge that somebody else made the exact same story 20 years ago. But with that being the case, it's important to make sure that your characters really stand out. That's also one of the reasons why I fell off from some of my video games and why I fell in love with Red Dead Redemption. It had amazing graphics, but it also had an amazing story and amazing characters. That's why everyone was talking about it. That's why the marketing was so heavy on South Park for Red Dead Redemption 2.
I'm gonna be playing Red Dead Redemption for the next 18 hours.
All of that being said, I still enjoyed Avatar with everything I've got. Of course, I would watch it over and over again just for the beauty of this movie. But what do you guys think? This is just opinionated. There's some people who loved it because of the characters, but I don't really hear people talking about the characters when they talk about Avatar. Dead ass though. Thanks so much for watching. This has been Ultiori. You ask, we answer.